film che rese leggendari Joliet Jake e suo fratello Elwood, che infransero il muro del suono negli inseguimenti ad alta velocità e rilanciarono il rhythm and blues.
We're on a mission from God.
Preparatevi, vi racconteremo un film che ha fatto storia con i veri uomini nero-americani, i Blues Brothers. Vedremo come Dan Aykroyd trasformò il suo voluminoso manoscritto in un film.
The Blues Brothers script, it was completely insane and undoable.
Vedrete le gaffe delle star a cineprese spente.
John had walked off the set, gone to somebody's house, knocked on the door, said, "You know who I am, John Belushi. I'm tired, I'm hungry."
4 fried chickens and a Coke.
E conosceremo le reazioni dei produttori quando il film sfondò il budget previsto.
These damn lunatics aren't out of there by Friday. I'm gonna drive over there personally with a gun and shoot John Landis in the head.
Get those weapons ready, mister!
Vi riveleremo tutti gli scoop che stanno dietro questo classico del cinema americano. E vi mostreremo i concerti dei Blues Brothers. Preparatevi per un viaggio indimenticabile su Unseen Untold con i Blues Brothers.
Was proposed as a soulful Midwestern odyssey that was a great combination of rhythm and blues music and car crashes.
We were making some kind of weird, giant, rambling wreck that wasn't like anything else.
It was a big movie for its time. Expensive movie. When you start to describe a musical, comedy, stunt, action movie where the two comedy stars rarely take off their sunglasses, you're not describing a standard kind of screen comedy.
Non c'è niente di comune in questo film, perché la storia dei Blues Brothers è unica e inizia quando Elwood va a prendere Jake in prigione. Uno è alto e l'altro è grasso, indossano occhiali da sole, cappelli neri e abiti scuri molto seri. Per farcela compiranno imprese pazze e rimorchieranno molte ragazze. I due orfani si fermano dalla Pinguina e il viaggio ha inizio quella mattina. Le suore devono molto denaro al governo e i nostri eroi le salveranno dall'inferno. I ragazzi non hanno la soluzione, ma James Brown illumina la situazione. E un solo obiettivo da subito appare: la vecchia band deve tornare a suonare.
Absolutely not.
Il loro comportamento non è certo il più pio, ma sono in missione per conto di Dio.
Would it make you feel any better if you knew that what we're asking Matt here to do is a holy thing?
Don't you blaspheme here!
E durante il percorso pieno di imprevisti, i nostri eroi sono seguiti dalla polizia e dai nazisti. Li insegue anche una bellezza misteriosa che di Jake era la promessa sposa.
It's good to see you, sweetheart.
Ma per Jake e Elwood è tutto molto chiaro. C'è poco tempo per trovare il denaro. Organizzano un concerto che va tutto esaurito e così ottengono l'incasso sperato. Hanno i soldi a fine serata, ma la loro missione non è ancora completata. Per il grande inseguimento ogni scherzo vale, ma è solo una commedia e nessuno si farà male. Poi alla fine li rimetteranno in galera, che con tutta la band diventa una balera. Non confondete questa con altre storie, perché dei Blues Brothers sono le memorie.
The Blues Brothers evolved somewhat rapidly once the concept got going. John was always a musician and played in high school, drums and sang, and was a rock and roller.
Belushi was much more into heavy metal. John Belushi and Michael Jackson are the two guys I've dealt with who listen to music so loud that it hurts your teeth. You know, it's like, oh my God.
John found the blues during Animal House. We were in Eugene, Oregon. Went out one night when there was a little time.
There was this kind of down-and-out blues guy named Curtis Salgado, who sort of played a lot of stuff for John.
He really took him through a musical history of the blues, and John absorbed it like a sponge.
John aveva iniziato da poco ad avvicinarsi al blues, ma suo fratello Dan era già un grande appassionato del genere.
Dan Aykroyd has a real passion and knowledge and appreciation of the blues and rhythm and blues.
John e Dan si incontrarono in un bar di Chicago e misero a punto un piano per mescolare i loro due stili.
We came back to the blues camp, we had a party there, and we started to play old blues records, and I had a Down Child blues band. Put them on. He said, "Who's this?" I said, "You're from Chicago." I said, "John, you should know about the blues." He said, "Well, I'm into Grand Funk and Allman Brothers." I said, "Well, that's all blues." And I reacquainted him with blues, and he reacquainted me with sort of heavy metal. And Howard Shore was in the place that night. He eventually became musical director of Saturday Night Live. And we were saying, we should put a band together. And he said, "Yeah, you could call yourself the Blues Brothers."
Nelle 2 settimane successive, John e Dan crearono i personaggi di 2 ragazzacci, Jake ed Elwood.
Jake! Elwood!
Erano nati i Blues Brothers.
They both got the suits and made this little act.
Jake and Elwood was just basically a pork pie hat and any jacket and a tie and dark glasses. They were goofing around, having fun.
Ciò che era iniziato per divertimento in un bar divenne un successo nel Saturday Night Live di Lorne Michaels.
Lorne let them start playing with the Saturday Night Band, which at that time was led by Paul Schaefer, to warm up the crowds. And then I think the first time they were Killer Bees.
Okay, let's buzz a while.
They ended up doing it as bees, and they did blues as bees. They had hats with the little bee antenna sticking out and the bee outfits.
You had a big yellow and black striped body with antenna. In any case, they did perform as Jake and Elwood finally on the show, and the response was so extraordinary that Steve Martin said to them, "Would you open for me at the Universal Amphitheater when I play my 2 weeks there this summer?"
They didn't want to have a band and travel as the Bees. The Bees Brothers.
So at that point, it's very exciting because, okay, well, let's put this band together.
Quando il Saturday Night Live Show regalò ai Blues Brothers il più grande successo del 1978, a John Belushi e Dan Aykroyd fu richiesta la prima grande apparizione dal vivo.
Okay, let's buzz a while.
Lo show di Steve Martin allo Universal Amphitheater aveva bisogno di un'attrazione di apertura. Il duo doveva formare una band.
Danny and John are instrumental, no pun intended, in this because getting the players was very important. They knew that they would never have legitimacy. So they said, we're going to get the best damn band.
Il piano strategico si basava sulla collaborazione con Paul Schaefer, il leader del Saturday Night Live, per reclutare la Blues Brothers Band.
John Belushi and I handpicked this band 20 years ago.
They basically started recruiting guys, calling them up. Come in and try this.
And Schaefer and John and Danny put together this extraordinary band.
Alla fine i Blues Brothers riuscirono a reclutare alcuni dei nomi più noti della scena del rhythm and blues. Steve Cropper, Donald Dunn, Murphy Dunn, Willie Hall, Tom Malone, Lou Marini, Matt Murphy e Alan Rubin. Ma l'attenzione non era concentrata tanto sui talenti musicali quanto sui 2 leader.
They recognized that although we were not the greatest vocalists / harp players, we weren't the greatest frontmen, we provided an energy and we provided a package for the band and sort of an enclosure to reintroduce the world to a lot of this music. And so they recognized our gifts as performer comedians, we recognized their gifts as musicians, and the fusion was what propelled us into this adrenaline high, and we realized that this could be a real R&B review.
Le etichette discografiche iniziavano a mettersi d'accordo appena in tempo per lo show di Steve Martin.
By the time we moved them to the Universal Amphitheater, they were cooking, They had become a real band.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Universal Amphitheater.
Having them in the band made it real, and Atlantic said there's real music credibility here.
Let us welcome from Rock Island, Illinois, the blues band of Joliet Jake and Elwood Blues Brothers.
Atlantic Records said, "Why don't you do a record?"
E questo è proprio ciò che fecero i Blues Brothers. Il loro album dal vivo, A Briefcase Full of Blues, raggiunse il primo posto della classifica di Billboard, creando il fenomeno dei Blues Brothers.
What happened was the album, Briefcase Full of Blues, the first Blues Brothers album, went double platinum.
Not only did the public love it, but it was kind of great and cool and groovy.
There was a lot of heat for the Blues Brothers in Hollywood at that time. So coupled with the record success, our appearances on SNL, the show at the amphitheater from where the record came, people wanted the movie.
The studio did have an inclination to make it. Animal House had made a lot of money, and that was directed by John Landis and starred John Belushi, and this promised to be something extraordinary. Dan Aykroyd called up Sean Daniel, an executive at Universal, and pitched him the story over the phone, and that got the ball rolling, but there was no script.
Which led to Dan Aykroyd's script negotiation. Danny said, I need $20,000 in cash. I need a used California State Patrol car. I need 3 months on the road, and I will bring back a script.
So then it became this race against time to try to get Danny's script.
I have no idea where he went. I have no idea what he did.
And then that fateful call came, and Dan said, I'll call you when it's on your property. And basically, John and Sean Daniel and myself received the script that Danny had pitched over each of our fences.
This epic manuscript, the saga, the legend of the blue, whatever it was.
It was the size of a phone book, and he'd actually put it between the covers of the Valley Yellow pages.
Everybody got their own copy inside the covers of a different telephone book. Mine was the Ventura County Yellow Pages.
The author wasn't Danny Aykroyd. The author was credited as Scriptron.
It had an individual story for every member of the band.
And that's why the script was so large. Each individual band member had his own story about how they were recruited to go on this mission.
I was a television writer. I wrote on Saturday Night Live, 3-minute television bits. I really didn't know how to write movies. Eventually, it just kind of ballooned up.
The problem is, what do you do with a 324-page script?
The Blues Brothers script had many fabulous things in it. It was also completely insane and undoable. So I said, look, Danny, give it to me, let me rewrite it.
And there was a lot of stuff that went in very odd directions and maybe didn't make the cut.
I had a scene, I was a prostitute. When Jake got out of jail, Elwood immediately took him to a house of ill repute. And then essentially someone put on a teapot of water, and then there's like that time lapse, the teapot's boiling, and Jake walks out and says, let's go. So, quick scene.
It was never quite short enough. It was never quite cheap enough. And I knew, Sean Daniel knew, that it was highly unlikely that we would get the Blues Brothers made inside a budget.
Tutti ricordiamo quel viaggio. 2 fratelli vestiti di nero, una vecchia automobile e una missione per conto di Dio.
I have seen the light!
Ma per la produzione ci vollero 6 mesi e 27 milioni di dollari per portare i Blues Brothers dal carcere di Joliet alla grande scena finale a Chicago.
There really hadn't been production there since Mayor Daley had shut things down, no television shows or films.
We made a really strong connection with Jane Byrne, who was the first woman who been elected mayor of Chicago. And Jane loved the project and loved the idea of Danny and John, and she was incredibly supportive.
Part of the joke is size. And she's the one who really opened the city for us.
Con le chiavi della città tra le mani, la produzione era pronta a dare il via a questa avventura destinata a diventare un classico.
The movie was characterized, I guess I should say, by intense enthusiasm for physical stunts.
Car's got a lot of pickup.
In totale furono distrutte 13 Bluesmobile e decine di altre auto per realizzare tutte le scene. Un'auto della polizia fu lanciata a tutta velocità contro un camion in marcia.
Hi, this is car 55. We're in a truck. Holy!
La Ford Pinto dei nazisti fu sganciata da un elicottero che volava a 120 metri sopra una fabbrica di sale. Fu necessaria l'autorizzazione da parte del controllo aereo.
I've always loved you.
E le strade di Chicago furono trasformate in un autodromo.
There's one shot where you see the Bluesmobile being chased by the cops. There was like 36 vehicles, all going over 100 miles an hour.
We said, look, we're going to take the camera car we've specially built. It'll do 140 miles an hour. And we're going to bolt some cameras to it, and we're going to do 140 miles an hour under Wacker Drive.
I shot twice. I went back and did it again because it looked fake. It looked like we speeded up the film. You wouldn't believe the cars were going that fast. We went back, put stunt people walking on the sidewalks, and shot it again so that you'd see, oh no, that's real.
Arrivati a metà delle riprese giunse il momento di fare dei veri danni.
The strip mall, we had a lot of fun doing that.
That actually was not in the script. What happened with the mall was we came across this giant mall in Harvey, Illinois.
It was an abandoned shopping mall. And I remember going out to scout it.
Power was out, so the only light was from our flashlights.
It was like spooky. It was like going into an ancient Egyptian tomb. But all the storefronts, all the glass, everything was intact, but it was empty. So I thought, man, I'd like to drive a car through this.
Baby clothes. This place has got everything.
Over a period of about 3 months, we dressed that set.
And anything we didn't destroy didn't cost us anything. And anything we did destroy was wholesale.
Tier 1 imports.
Those cars were indestructible. They had roll bars. And we trashed it. We shot it. I think it was supposed to be in like 3 days and took 4 or 5.
Come sempre il tempo è denaro e le scene nel centro commerciale dimostrarono che il film stava sforando il budget iniziale.
I'm in California. I've got all these serious movie executives. And the Blues Brothers dailies come up, and Sean and John and John and Danny are going like, hey guys, hey everybody in California, hey, we're horribly over budget, we're totally behind, we're in cars and we're upside down, we're blowing up the city of Chicago. How are you guys doing today?
We were spending a lot of money doing a very unusual kind of movie, and the studio was nervous.
So I'm like terrified to go back to the studio. I'm terrified to go to the set, because every time I go to the set, complete mayhem. We just exiled Sean Daniel from California, and he's there fighting the battle every day on the set.
Yeah, well, we did run over, but the footage is going to be excellent. I tell you, it's movie history. I know. No, I think in this sequence we're going to be 2 days over. It'll all be on the screen, I promise.
I do remember the series of phone calls on a daily basis about what was going on.
It would be like, listen, Mount, if these damn lunatics aren't out of there by Friday, I'm going to drive over there personally with a gun and shoot John Landis in the head. And it was just like, whoa. So part of the story of the Blues Brothers for me had very little to do with the movie and a lot to do with not having the movie shut down before we finished shooting.
Uno dei problemi che la produzione non aveva previsto era quello di far arrivare le star sul set.
John Belushi, God bless him, as you may be aware, had an occasional substance abuse problem, and that problem reared its ugly head in and out of the picture.
John lived large, and just because we had worked a 12 or 14-hour day, that wasn't going to slow him down.
We were shooting in Harvey, Illinois, the mall scene, and one night nobody could find John. We didn't know where he was. We needed him for a shot.
And it's like, where the hell is John? And we're looking around for John.
And someone said, well, I saw him walking over across the street. He crossed the street and went into that neighborhood over there. So we began to look for him, and we went to a house in the neighborhood, basically, looking for telltale signs of him.
Danny always called John America's guest, because people were so happy to see him. He'd go into a house, and the parents would go, here's our daughter.
We knocked on the door, and the guy came to the door, and he said, yes, Mr. Belushi's in. He's in on the couch. He's asleep. Perfect stranger. Turned out John had walked off the set, gone to somebody's house, knocked on the door, said, you know who I am, John Belushi.
He said, can I have a sandwich?
Basically made himself a sandwich, had a glass of milk, and then said, can I crash out on your couch?
Shh. John's sleeping. Having just slept with my daughter and stolen from my son and cleaned out my icebox.
John really was America's guest, and that really crystallized it. That was really a funny night.
Mentre la Bluesmobile proseguiva il suo viaggio di distruzione, i responsabili del casting chiesero un altro favore al sindaco di Chicago. Dopotutto, il grande finale del film avrebbe scatenato livelli di caos mai visti.
She said, seriously, is there anything you'd like to do? And we said, well, we kind of like to drive a car or two through the Daily building. She said, oh, the Daily building. Well, I see no problem with that. And the next thing you know, we were doing this big sequence down there, driving right through over this expensive marble floor. And it was great to be able to wreak havoc on that scale.
Well, I think they got what they wanted. It worked pretty slick, yeah.
Oh, it worked terrific. They stopped good. Brakes worked real good. How'd it look? Looked terrific. Oh, I can see it. I have my eyes closed.
Fortunatamente per la produzione, le riprese a Chicago finirono prima che gli amministratori della città comprendessero la portata delle distruzioni.
Two Cook County commissioners who were so outraged, these men, watching the film saying, they can't do that. They can't do that. There was this scene in the lobby that was so outrageous where these two aldermen were just screaming at Mayor Byrne, under no conditions will they be given permission to do that, and she said, they did it. You didn't even know they were there. For Mayor Byrne, it caused her a lot of grief.
And she was running for re-election.
And it caused a huge scandal.
Which many people say lost her the election.
In quel momento la produzione del film si dirigeva verso la città di Los Angeles per finire le riprese.
Not only are we over budget, not only behind schedule, not only are we absolutely out of control, not only were the dailies incomprehensible to most of the older executives in the room, but we got the first woman Democratic mayor of Chicago defeated, and by the time we were leaving town, there may not have been any way to stay in Chicago.
Nel giugno del 79, dopo aver raggiunto i vertici delle classifiche grazie al Saturday Night Live, i Blues Brothers erano nel pieno delle riprese del film.
So Jay, you're out, you're free, you're rehabilitated, you got the money you owe us.
Nonostante John Belushi e Dan Aykroyd fossero dei comici.
You, how much for your wife?
E nonostante le incredibili scene spettacolari, molti considerano il film come un vero musical.
Thank you. You're marvelous.
Is it a musical? Sure, it's a musical. It's a deconstructed, participatory, non-linear, non-authoritarian musical.
I always intended the movie to be a musical. It is a musical. It has a lot of car crashes, but it's definitely a musical. People have trouble when you mix genres.
A convincere tutti che si tratta di un musical c'è l'incredibile rassegna di leggende del rhythm and blues che parteciparono al film.
We had a wish list. In fact, a lot of it was indicated right in the script, which are the artists we'd like to go to.
We wanted Aretha Franklin, we wanted John Lee Hooker, we wanted Ray Charles, we wanted James Brown.
Have you seen the light?
It's perhaps forgotten now that at the time there was kind of an eclipse of this type of music, and not a lot of it was on the radio.
Most of these people weren't working, so it was easy to get them. You called up and said, hey, you want a job? They went, please.
Il film può vantare James Brown nel ruolo del reverendo Cleophas James. Cab Calloway è il crooner Curtis, un altro prodigio dell'orfanotrofio. Ray Charles canta l'incredibile Shake Your Tail Feather. John Lee Hooker suona nei panni di Street Slim lungo Maxwell Street, il regno del rhythm and blues a Chicago. E lì vicino i Blues Brothers incontrano l'unica vera diva del rhythm and blues, Aretha Franklin.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me, yeah. Think, that your mind gonna let yourself be free.
It was great to work with Aretha. She had a great number. She was wonderful.
Oh, freedom.
She had a lot of energy, and the set piece in the movie itself was terrific, being set in the Soul Food Cafe.
Think about what you're trying to do to me.
She had trouble lip syncing.
Think that your mind gonna let yourself be free.
I have worked with several artists who can't easily do playback. They don't sing a song the same way. It's a living, breathing thing. It's different every time.
It had a lot of energy, and so it was exciting to shoot, and the results on film were fantastic.
She was great. I mean, she's a good actress, and I enjoyed her. I mean, that woman is awesome. I mean, really extraordinary. A national treasure.
Tra i grandi artisti che hanno partecipato al film, un paio di leggende del rhythm and blues che erano state scelte non parteciparono alle riprese.
The John Lee Hooker sequence was actually shot on Maxwell Street.
Muddy Waters was supposed to play that day, and unfortunately, I got a cold. So he came to visit the set, but we never had him in the movie, so I'm very unhappy about that.
I think we had talked for a minute about something for Little Richard, which didn't work out.
Little Richard had a church. He'd been born again and was preaching, and I flew back somewhere where the barbecue's good to have lunch with Little Richard, which I did, and he was just as outrageous and flamboyant, but he just felt he could only do religious music, he wouldn't do secular music. Thankfully that's changed since then.
La grande musica rhythm and blues contenuta nel film serve da introduzione per il grande spettacolo dei Blues Brothers.
We weren't so much concerned about the music as was just our execution of it, how good or bad would it be.
John and Danny were both terrific singers and terrific performers, especially live. And Danny's very good on the harp. It evolved into a really crack show.
La band doveva provare il suo valore con il primo concerto.
Bob's Country Bunker was located on the back lot of Universal. The stage that the band performed on was behind the chicken wire, so they wouldn't get trashed by people throwing beer bottles and so forth.
Those lights are off on purpose.
We kind of got the concept that this band is such a super band that they don't only have to play blues and R&B, they can play anything. That's why we did Stand By Your Man, Rawhide. This band really, if assigned to, can play anything. I wanted songs that both of us did that had humor and that had irony in them. The music has an inherent humor in it. All blues music has great humor in it, and just the rhythms and the feeling of joy that comes from singing it and playing it, it ignited us, and therefore we felt that we could probably ignite an audience with it.
There was actually a number shot in that sequence that was not in the final film. The band performed a version of Sink the Bismarck, an old Johnny Horton tune.
I cut it out. I had to cut it down. And so I did. There were a couple of cuts I can't explain to you.
One of my favorites sort of explained how the Bluesmobile got imbued with special powers to do backflips and that. And it was that we parked it in a secret hiding place under the L train in Chicago in a transformer room, which I had a key, and the Bluesmobile sort of parked in there every night and sort of absorbed the power of the electrical transformers. That was gone. I remember we shot down in southern Illinois at an aerosol plant. We wore a pair of clear plastic safety shades. John Landis's mother was in the factory scene there, and I stole some aerosol cans, knowing that I was going to quit my job to go back on the road with the band, but knowing that I would need them later for weaponry and for sabotage purposes.
When they showed me this footage to put back into the DVD, there's a gag where John tosses a cigarette and blows up that gas station. It's quite spectacular, and I don't know why I cut that out. So when I saw it again, I went, why was that taken out?
Mentre il film si avvicinava alla conclusione, i responsabili del casting preparavano il grande finale musicale in una delle sale da concerto più famose della California.
We saved this giant production number for the end. Hollywood Palladium, Sunset Boulevard.
The outside, this was the big place at Lake Wassapamani, and the interior was here at the Palladium, where we brought thousands of people in.
And the way that worked was it was a radio promotion. You know, come to see the Blues Brothers.
And it was great to have them. They were really into the music, and their energy really contributed to the energy of the picture.
I fan parteciparono a 2 dei 3 giorni di riprese al Palladium, dove cantarono con Cab Calloway e videro i Blues Brothers dal vivo.
Everybody Needs Somebody to Love was just a great R&B sort of closer to the show.
Ma il pubblico non sapeva che uno dei leader si era imbottito di antidolorifici.
I got a call one day that John, the day before, in fact, he was supposed to go on, he had hurt himself, hurt his leg.
He was walking back from having shot a scene, and somebody went by on a skateboard and said, let me try that.
Why he would try that the day before he had to sing and dance was beyond me.
John had hurt his ankle badly. It was all swollen, and he was getting steroid shots and painkillers and stuff.
He said if a horse was in this shape, they'd shoot him. I said, yeah, I know that, John. I said, I'm going to take a lot of unprescribed illegal pharmaceuticals, and I will not feel this ankle until tomorrow. You'll have your shot.
Like the performances. And that's when you see how committed they were. I mean, look at Johnny and Dan's dancing. Look at Aykroyd drop on those knees. It's like, oh, Danny, you know.
Con il film completato, i responsabili iniziarono a pensare al mese di giugno dell'80, quando il film sarebbe uscito. Tutti sapevano che era molto rischioso offrire al pubblico per la prima volta un'opera che era al tempo stesso un musical, una commedia e un film d'azione.
The response to the Blues Brothers was overwhelming. It blew our minds.
Belushi and Aykroyd are enormously likable, and they make the Blues Brothers fervid, flaky, fast, and funny. It is a happy summer entertainment, so if you need a lift, the Blues Brothers will chase the blues, brother.
When this was a hit and lots of people saw it and they kept coming back, I mean, that was just amazing.
Gli incassi indicavano che il film era un successo e al prezzo di appena $2 al biglietto iniziò la scalata verso un incasso nazionale di $54 milioni. Ma alla fine fu la cultura americana che consacrò il successo dei Blues Brothers.
A week after it was released, the New York Times was writing an editorial and op-ed page article about Jimmy Carter, who was president, and his miscreant brother Billy Carter, famous for Billy Beer, who was this drunk redneck weirdo, and how these two brothers were linked in the public imagination and how badly it was hurting the Carter White House. And the headline across the entire op-ed page, the drawing of Jimmy Carter, the drawing of his brother Billy, the Blues Brothers.
And then it reached a level even beyond the business that the film did. I mean, I remember when the music that the Blues Brothers popularized, I started hearing it at halftimes at football games and sporting events.
When you get that, you know you have entered the culture. It's the great thing about pop culture. You can go from I never heard of it to it's the coolest thing in the world in 24 months.
Nel corso degli anni i due amati protagonisti sono comparsi sulle slot machine, sui flipper e nei videogiochi. E giunti al 20° anniversario del film fu anche realizzato un sequel, Blues Brothers 2000. Oggi la leggenda di J.K. Elwood ha compiuto un intero ciclo e i Blues Brothers sono nuovamente sul palco.
As the years have gone on, and I have, to my delight, seen Blues Brothers' interest continue, Danny and I thought this was a great idea. It's a new Blues Brothers revival.
La cosa più difficile fu trovare attori capaci di sostituire i Blues Brothers originali John e Dan.
I will never be convinced there's a better team, but I do believe that this is, not unlike Superman or some character that can be played by different people. What is important is to have the right chemistry.
Risolti i problemi di casting, l'obiettivo è lo stesso dell'originale: cantare, ballare e divertire senza limiti.
It'll be the Blues Brothers, it'll be a band. There will be a loose storyline. Elwood has lost Jake and he discovers that he's in purgatory. And so his mission is to try to free Jake. There will be some gospel, there'll be some street music. Their new catchphrase will be, "We're ammunition from God."
Quando Jake e Elwood si imbarcarono in quella missione per conto di Dio, non sapevano che quel viaggio non sarebbe mai finito.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Da allora la leggenda dei Blues Brothers occupa un posto speciale nella storia.
It's a wonderful movie, totally entertaining, slightly out of control. Feeds a great sense of mayhem and youth and enthusiasm, which God knows we could all use.
It turned out that the Blues Brothers had a very wide audience. The general audience liked it. Didn't have a niche audience. People that liked the music, people that liked this kind of action.
I can say that in Danny's intention, it was totally successful. It did focus attention on these great artists.
Really a fun picture to watch. So it has some enduring power and in its way becomes, I guess, some sort of oddball classic or something.
Are you the police?
No, ma'am. We're musicians.
Quei due fratelli pazzi hanno lasciato delle immagini indelebili nei nostri cuori e nelle nostre menti. E in parte grazie alla moglie di John, Judy.
She made this fabulous thing, the Blues Brothers scrapbook.
It was one of those things, I woke up in the middle of the night thinking, a Blues Brothers file.
It's Jake and Elwood's files from Sister Mary Stigmata and from the police, and it's a series of documents and photographs, beautifully done.
The nun has kept a file on them. So she kept one on Jake, and one on Elwood, and one on the band. It explains how they're brothers. It has their papers, report cards, there's some love letters, a lot of little nuances. And it was through this file that we learned who they are.
Jake e Elwood restano dei personaggi enigmatici, ma il loro viaggio attraverso il blues continua a far ridere l'America e il mondo intero.
It's hard to pick one scene that I really like, although Bob's Country Bunker stands out for me in a lot of ways.
My name is Jacob Stein, the American Federation of Musicians Union.
Starting from their little deception, Jake flashes his cigarette pack like it's some kind of ID.
I've been sent here to see if you gentlemen are carrying your permits.
Or what?
Your union cards. May I see your cards, please?
We gotta go in and visit the penguin.
No way.
When they go to the orphanage and they see the nun and the curious little magical almost things that happen. And I love when they sit in the little desks that the kids would sit in.
The Archbishop wants to sell this building outright to the Board of Education.
Well then, I guess you're really a creek.
I mean, Jake's trying to get away from her when she's sitting with the ruler and he can't get out of the desk.
What's this?
What?
This car. This stupid car.
At that time, the hottest police car in America was the Dodge Monaco with the 440 cubic inch engine, and that became the Bluesmobile because Elwood knew that he had to stay at least, if not one jump ahead of the law, at least on the same kind of technological footing with them.
It's got a cop motor, a 440 cubic inch plant. It's got cop tires, cop suspension, cop shocks. It was a model made before catalytic converters, so it'll run good on regular gas. What do you say? Is it the new Bluesmobile or what? Fix a cigarette lighter.
Oh, shut up, woman.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Yeah, think.
I guess the think scene is probably my favorite scene.
Oh, freedom, 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 freedom.
The way it's handled, the way it's shot, it's very cleverly put together, that scene.
I like when she shoots at them and Danny looks at John and says,
Who is that girl?
the fact that this is the first time he's asked the question.
You know I love you, baby. I wouldn't leave you. It wasn't my fault.
You miserable slug. You think you can talk your way out of this?
And then John whips off his glasses and looks up at her because that's so John. You could never be too mad at John. He was just so sweet and funny. I like the way Carrie melts. And you have that big Clark Gable kiss, and then he drops her.
Let's go.
They amuse me, those guys, and I like that very much. But it's a wacky movie.
This is glue. Strong stuff.
4 whole fried chickens and a Coke.
Orange whip. Orange whip. 3 orange whips.
All I can tell you about the movie business is if it feels like anything else that exists, you're in real trouble.
I don't know when someone would make that kind of movie again, that was that combination of musical numbers and chases and so forth.
And Danny and John doing what they do best, which is creating a myth.
The Blues Brothers.
I like those characters. I think they're funny.
That group of people, those artists, those actors, this was really special. We had become friends, and it really makes a difference when you get to work on a movie with people who are professionals, but you are also friends with them.
It's hard to express how you feel about something that took so much of you and my late husband and his partner Dan and so much of our lives, and then there it is, I see it on film. And I think it's a legacy. And I'm proud to be in a situation where I can help keep it going and keep it alive.